Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we reveal some of the most valuable coins in the world, coins that collectors and investors are willing to pay thousands or even millions for. Have you ever wondered if the loose change sitting in a jar on your kitchen counter could be the key to transforming your entire financial future? What if a single quarter, yes, a 25-cent coin, could hold the power to add nearly $1 million to your bank account? Today, we're diving into one of the most electrifying discoveries in modern numismatics, a rare 2005 California state quarter-error coin that recently shot up in value to a staggering $877,000. And by the time you finish watching this video, you'll know exactly how to identify it, why it's so valuable, and how to position yourself to cash in while the market is still exploding with demand. Before we jump in, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at the coins you carry every day? Really looked beyond the scratches, beyond the fingerprints, beyond the assumption that they're worth nothing more than face value. Most people don't, which is why most people miss life-changing opportunities hiding in plain sight. But you're here because you're not most people. You want something bigger. You're ready for the yes coin moment that can elevate your lifestyle, your wealth, and your legacy. So stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal might just reset the way you see your entire financial future. This brings us to Act 1, the discovery. The 2005 California quarter was part of the legendary state quarter program, one of the most successful coin releases in U.S. mint history. Millions of Americans collected them, traded them, stored them away in albums. But tucked inside that massive production run was a microscopic mistake. One tiny minting error so rare, so unusual, and so perfectly preserved that it sent shockwaves through the collecting world. Imagine that for a moment. A little silver-colored coin no larger than the tip of your thumb suddenly breaking the six-figure mark in the open market. It sounds incredible, almost unbelievable, but that's exactly what happened. And here's the twist. This wasn't just a collector's fluke. This was a sign of a skyrocketing demand curve. Wealthy buyers, private investors, and high-net-worth collectors now aggressively paying premium prices for rare coin errors that used to be ignored. And that leads us into Act 2, the revelation. Because the real question isn't how this coin became so valuable. The real question is, do you have one? And before you shake your head, let me tell you something fascinating. Most of the rarest coins ever discovered weren't found in museums or vaults. They were found by ordinary people, people who checked a drawer, an old piggy bank, a forgotten coffee tub in the garage. People like you. Now I know what you're thinking. A small coin worth $877,000? Seriously? Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. This specific California quarter was struck with a dramatic mint error, an off-center strike combined with a misaligned die, creating a unique visual distortion that instantly turned it into a numismatic superstar. Collectors call it a once-in-a-generation specimen, and investors treat it like modern digital gold. But here's where things get interesting. Many of these error coins slipped into general circulation before the mistake was caught. That means some of these quarters are still out there right now, sitting unnoticed in pockets, coin jars, glove compartments, and old family collections. And here comes a pattern interrupt, because if you're suddenly imagining every quarter in your home glowing like a treasure map, don't worry, you're not alone. Thousands of viewers pause this exact moment and run to check their change. But stick around. You need to know what to look for before you go hunting. Which brings us right to Act 3, the transformation, your transformation. Because the moment you spot one of these error traits, your entire relationship with money shifts. You're no longer someone hoping for a better financial future. You're someone actively uncovering it. Someone who understands that wealth doesn't always come from what you earn. Sometimes it comes from what you discover. Now imagine holding a coin that the market is valuing at nearly $900,000. Imagine the buyers lining up. Imagine the options it unlocks. Debt eliminated, investments accelerated, lifestyle upgraded, dreams activated. That's the power of this coin. And here's where the urgency comes in. The market for rare U.S. coin errors is hotter than ever. Prices are climbing fast, and once a coin hits a record-breaking sale, investors start hunting aggressively for the next match. The $877,000 California quarter has officially placed this error type on the radar of top-tier collectors. Translation: If you find one, the demand is already waiting for you. You won't be chasing buyers, buyers will be chasing you. But demand can shift quickly, and everyday collectors discover new specimens that can slightly dilute rarity. If you have old jars of coins, inherited collections, or state quarters stashed from years ago, now is the time, right now, to examine them carefully. You're sitting in the middle of a modern gold rush that most people don't even realize is happening. But before we reach the end, here's your cliffhanger. Because in part 2 of this series, I'm going to reveal a second California quarter error, one even rarer, that experts believe could break the $1 million mark next. And let me just say this. If you thought today's discovery was thrilling, wait until you hear what's coming next. You do not want to miss it. For now, remember this. Wealth doesn't always arrive in big dramatic packages. Sometimes it's small, metallic, and hiding in your pocket. The 2005 California quarter error worth $877,000 is proof that opportunity favors the curious, the prepared, and the bold. You're here because you're ready for more. And trust me, your journey into rare coins and high-value discoveries is just beginning. Imagine reaching into an old dresser drawer tonight, pulling out a handful of loose change, and realizing that one single quarter, yes, a humble 25-cent coin, could be worth more than most people make in a decade. Sounds unbelievable, right? And yet, just recently, a rare 1999 Delaware state quarter with a dramatic minting error reached a jaw-dropping value of $893,000 in the current private collector market. Let that number sink in for a moment. Almost $900,000 for a quarter. Now, before you shake your head and assume you couldn't possibly own something this extraordinary, let me stop you right there. Because the truth is, and this is where things get really interesting, tens of thousands of these state quarters were minted, circulated, saved, tossed into jars, tucked into glove compartments, and slipped into piggy banks across the United States. Some are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to recognize their true worth. And if you're thinking, well, I never get that kind of luck, let me respectfully interrupt with a gentle pattern reset. Did you think the people who found $1 million coins were born knowing they had treasure in their pockets? No, they learned what to look for. And that is exactly what you're about to do in the next few minutes. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this Delaware quarter is skyrocketing in value, how to identify the high-value error, and why collectors are prepared to pay life-changing money for it right now. And trust me, you're going to want to check your coins tonight. To understand how a simple quarter can be worth nearly $1 million. Let's go back to 1999, when Delaware became the very first state honored in the U.S. State Quarters Program. This program was one of the most successful coin releases in American history. Millions of Americans began collecting them. Families, teachers, bankers, even people who never cared about coin collecting before. Everyone wanted the full set. But what most people still don't know is that in the earliest runs at the Philadelphia Mint, something unexpected happened. A mechanical misalignment created a rare and dramatic minting error. An off-center strike combined with a rotating die clash that left unique, unmistakable markings across the horse and rider design on the reverse. This wasn't a tiny flaw visible only under a microscope. No, this was the kind of error even the average collector can spot once they know what to look for. And here's where things get exciting. Because errors like this don't just add value, they create a feeding frenzy among high-end collectors. Buyers who want what nobody else has. Buyers who understand that rarity is the foundation of wealth in the coin market. Buyers who don't blink at paying 6 figures, or even close to 7. But let me pause for a quick pattern interrupt. Because right now you might be thinking, all right, but what if mine isn't perfect? Well, here's the twist. Even coins in less than ideal condition have fetched serious money because the error itself is rare enough to overshadow wear. In fact, some lower-grade versions have recently sold for mid-5 figures. And here's the kicker. Many people who owned these coins had no idea what they were sitting on. This is where the emotion kicks in. That mix of fear of missing out, fear of overlooking a fortune you already own, combined with excitement, hope, urgency. Because the market is hot right now. Collectors are actively paying premium prices. Demand is rising, not falling. And when collectors start competing, prices can explode overnight. And this brings us to the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. Because in a moment, I'll tell you exactly what signs, markers, and features transform an ordinary Delaware quarter into one worth more than most homes. But first, why is the value hitting $893,000 specifically in today's market? Simple. Scarcity meets demand at the perfect moment. Private auctions and elite collectors are aggressively pursuing error coins from the state quarter era. And Delaware, being the first state, holds a special prestige. Combine that with a dramatic minting error, and you get the perfect storm. Which means your window of opportunity has never been stronger. All right, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. The exact signs that separate a life-changing $893,000 Delaware quarter from an ordinary one sitting in your pocket. When you examine your 1999 Delaware quarter, you want to look for three distinctive markers. First, an off-center strike where the design appears shifted toward the rim. Second, a rotation in the die alignment that creates a noticeable tilt in the horse and rider when you flip the coin top to bottom. And third, the dramatic die clash marks, thin, ghost-like impressions of the design that appear in unexpected places across the surface. These three traits, when combined, signal a true high-value mint error. And if your coin displays them clearly, congratulations. You are holding one of the most sought-after error coins in modern U.S. minting history. A coin that is commanding offers as high as $893,000 in today's collector market. A quarter that can buy you a luxury home, a retirement, a new lifestyle, a chance to live with the ease, comfort, and financial freedom you've imagined for years. And here's the part most people never hear. These opportunities don't last forever. Markets shift. Collectors move on. But right now, at this moment, demand is fierce. High-end buyers are aggressively adding rare error coins to their private collections. And if you've been waiting for a sign to finally check your old jars, boxes, and bags of coins, this is it. Before we close, let me drop one final cliffhanger for you. Because in tomorrow's video, I'm revealing another overlooked 2000s era coin that is quietly breaking six-figure records, and almost nobody is talking about it. But your mission right now is simple. Look through your coins. Search for your 1999 Delaware quarter. Examine it closely, because stories like this don't belong only to lucky strangers. They belong to people who take action. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering that a tiny piece of American history, something you barely remembered owning, could be worth more money than most people earn in a decade. Sounds unreal, right? Well, stay with me, because today we're diving into the remarkable story of the 1999 Georgia $quarter error coin, a coin quietly selling for as high as $893,000 in today's market. Yes, nearly $900,000 for a quarter you might have spent on a parking meter. And if that doesn't spark curiosity, I don't know what will. Act 1 begins not in a vault, not in an auction room, but in your home, right where your old jars of change may be sitting untouched. The truth is, millions of Americans unknowingly own coins that are skyrocketing in price as collectors compete fiercely for the rarest survivors. And the Georgia 1999 era quarter is one of the most aggressively hunted coins in the United States. Serious buyers, elite collectors, and wealthy investors are offering life-changing sums for the right piece. Because this isn't just currency, it's treasure. But the real twist? Most people walk past this opportunity every single day, unaware of what they're holding. That's where fear slips in, the fear of missing out on something extraordinary as we move deeper into Act 1. Let me ask you a simple but powerful question. When was the last time you checked your loose change? If your answer is never or not recently, you're not alone. But you're also sitting on a cliff edge without knowing it. A single overlooked coin, especially a Georgia 1999 quarter with the right minting flaw, could be the key to stepping into a more financially secure, more abundant, more confident version of your life. And before you think, come on, how much difference can one coin make? Remember, someone just paid nearly $900,000 for exactly that. Act 2 pulls us into the heart of the story. What makes this coin so unbelievably valuable? Back in 1999, during the minting of the Georgia State Quarter, a small but dramatic error occurred. One that distorted the design in a way collectors consider incredibly rare. These aren't common mistakes. These are lightning-in-a-bottle moments, the kind of errors the mint tries desperately to prevent. That rarity creates a perfect storm of demand and competition. And whenever demand and scarcity collide, the value explodes. Right now, high net worth collectors are actively bidding on these Georgia-era quarters like they're pieces of fine art, because to them they are. But here's where the excitement really spikes. Many of these rare errors were released into circulation before the mistake was caught, meaning thousands of ordinary Americans may unknowingly have one sitting in a coin jar, a safe box, or the glove compartment of an old truck. It could be in a family coin collection passed down for years, misjudged as just another quarter. And if you're thinking, what if I have one? That spark of curiosity you feel right now is exactly what changes lives. That question alone has led people to discover coins worth more than their cars, their savings, even their houses. Let's pause for a quick pattern interrupt. Imagine explaining to your accountant that you made almost $1 million from a quarter. They'd probably stare at you like you were speaking ancient Greek. But hey, that's the beauty of the coin world. It laughs in the face of traditional logic. And if that little mental image didn't reset your attention, nothing will. Now, Act 2 becomes even more urgent, because the market for rare US coins is heating up faster than ever. Collectors are aging, collections are being liquidated, and new investors, people who want something tangible, something inflation-proof, are entering the space at record speed. The value of rare coin errors is climbing, and the 1999 Georgia quarter is becoming a trophy asset, the kind that only increases in allure as availability shrinks. Every year that passes, the number of surviving error coins gets smaller. Coins get lost, damaged, forgotten, or quietly bought by private collectors who lock them away permanently. And that exact pressure is what pushes prices into the stratosphere. Act 3 opens with a revelation. You are not just a viewer, you are a potential holder of wealth. A single decision today could determine whether you unlock that wealth or let it slip through your fingers. This is the moment where curiosity meets action. So look again through your change, through your old drawers, your inherited boxes, the pockets of jackets you haven't worn in years. Because the people living a wealthy lifestyle, the people who enjoy freedom, security, and opportunity, are the people who recognize value before everyone else does. The cliffhanger you've been waiting for? There is an even rarer variation of this 1999 Georgia-era quarter that experts believe could break the $1 million mark in the next major auction. And it could still be out there, unfound, unclaimed, maybe even waiting for someone like you. That's not exaggeration. That's the reality of the numismatic world, where the rarest treasures often hide in the most ordinary places. So as we come to the end of this journey, remember this. Wealth doesn't always appear as land, gold, or stocks. Sometimes it appears as a humble quarter minted more than 2 decades ago. And if you take just a little time to search, to stay curious, to stay alert, you might uncover something extraordinary. Something that could elevate your lifestyle, strengthen your financial future, and give you a story so unbelievable people will ask you to repeat it twice. Most people walk past loose change without a second thought. But today, what if I told you that one ordinary-looking quarter, yes, a simple 25-cent coin, has changed someone's life? And that the rare error version of the 2003 Arkansas quarter isn't just collectible. It's worth up to $894,000 in today's market. Let that sink in. A quarter that buys nothing more than a gumball, now worth nearly $1 million. And the only question left is, could you have one sitting in your home right now? This is the story of a mistake. A beautiful, accidental miracle that the US Mint never intended, but collectors can't stop chasing. Stay with me, because as we unfold the truth, you'll discover exactly what makes this Arkansas quarter so valuable, why demand is exploding, and how people just like you are unlocking fortunes they never knew they had. And trust me, you're going to want to check your old coin jar after this. The story begins back in 2003, when the US Mint released the Arkansas State Quarter, celebrating the natural state and its breathtaking diamond lakes. Millions were struck, circulated, and forgotten. But hidden among them was a tiny handful of flawed coins, errors born from misalignment, doubling, and metal planchet defects. Imagine winning the lottery by accident. That's what holding one of these coins is like. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, I've checked my change before. I don't have anything worth that kind of money. But here's the surprising twist. Most people who found these rare Arkansas errors had no idea what they were looking at. One person held onto theirs for 15 years before discovering its true value. Think about that. 15 years of not knowing that a fortune was sitting in a dusty drawer. And here's a moment to wake you up. If you're watching this video in bed, maybe sit up straight. If you're eating a snack, don't choke. Because once you see the features of this error coin, you might feel a sudden urge to empty every drawer in your house. Don't worry, totally normal. We're about to uncover exactly what makes this quarter almost unbelievably valuable. But I'll warn you now, once you learn it, you'll never look at spare change the same again. Collectors didn't notice this error at first. For years, it blended into circulation like every other quarter. But then a curious coin enthusiast spotted something strange. Subtle doubling on the letters, a shift in the details of the crystal waters, and an unexpected metal streak that only appears under magnification. One error could have been dismissed, but then another surfaced, and another. Suddenly, the Arkansas quarter wasn't just a state coin. It was a legend. Demand erupted. Auction houses began reporting unprecedented bids. High-end collectors were competing aggressively, some describing the Arkansas error as the holy grail of modern state quarters. And here's the part where excitement kicks in. Each time one of these rare error coins appeared in the market, the price just kept rising. At first, tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And today, the current confirmed market value for the top-graded Arkansas 2003 error quarter sits at an astonishing $894,000. Almost $1 million for a single quarter. Now imagine this for a moment. You open an old jewelry box. You sift through the years of saved coins, souvenirs, loose change, that "I'll spend it later" pile. And mixed in that memory-filled metal is a fortune waiting to be claimed. A quarter that could pay off your home, fund your retirement, or launch the wealthy lifestyle you've dreamed about but never thought could be possible from something so small. But we're not done yet. Because the real secret isn't just the error itself. It's why the value keeps climbing, even today. And that reason has everything to do with supply, timing, and a coming shortage that collectors are already preparing for. Here's the truth. These Arkansas error quarters are disappearing from the public eye faster than collectors can track them. Every time one is found, it gets graded, sealed, and taken out of circulation forever. That means the already tiny supply is shrinking month by month. And with fewer than a couple dozen confirmed examples, every discovery now sends shockwaves through the numismatic world. And here's something that should jolt you a little. Right now, as you watch this video, someone else in America is checking their old coins too. Someone else is realizing that maybe they picked up an Arkansas quarter at a gas station in 2007. Someone else is finding wealth tucked away in a forgotten roll of change. The race is on whether you realize it or not. Let me ask you something and answer honestly. When was the last time you checked your old coins? Really checked them? Not glanced, not shrugged, examined. Because the people making life-changing money in this market right now, they're the ones who didn't delay. And here's the real cliffhanger. There is another Arkansas error type rumored to exist, one that experts believe could cross the $1 million mark if confirmed. Imagine finding the very first one. Imagine being the name that gets added to the record books. This is why collectors are hunting harder than ever. Why demand is surging. Why the Arkansas 2003 quarter has transformed from a small piece of pocket change into one of the most desirable high-value modern coins on earth. So here's your moment of clarity. If you've ever dreamed of selling an old coin, of uncovering something rare, of earning real wealth from something hidden in plain sight, now is your time. The Arkansas quarter proves that fortune favors the curious, the bold, and the ones who act before it's too late. Go check your old coins. Search your drawers, your shelves, your boxes, your safe, anywhere you've ever tossed a quarter. Because if even one of them contains the rare 2003 Arkansas error, you won't just be holding 25 cents. Imagine opening an old drawer, reaching past the loose keys and crumpled receipts, and pulling out a single quarter, a quarter so rare, so shockingly valuable, that today it commands a jaw-dropping $764,000 on the market. Yes, $764,000 for a U.S. state quarter you may already own without knowing it. Now before you laugh or say, "That sounds impossible," let me interrupt that thought with this question. What if the only thing standing between you and your next major life upgrade is 25 cents? Today we're diving into the extraordinary world of the 2005 Oregon State $quarter error, a coin so sought after, so aggressively hunted by collectors, that it has become one of the most thrilling modern treasures circulating in American pockets. And as unbelievable as this sounds, this coin did not start in some high-security vault. It started in regular pocket change, the kind you've probably ignored for years. Keep watching, because in a moment I'll reveal the exact error that transforms an ordinary quarter into a six-figure powerhouse. But once I tell you what to look for, you'll never see your spare change the same way again. Let's rewind the story, because all great treasures have a turning point, a moment when something unexpected happens. In 2005, the U.S. Mint released the Oregon State Quarter as part of the iconic 50 State Quarters program. Millions were minted. They were everywhere. People used them for parking meters, vending machines, and gas station coffee. Nothing unusual until something went spectacularly wrong. Somewhere along the minting line during the production of the Oregon Quarter, a mechanical flaw created one of the most dramatic modern mint errors. Collectors call it a striking anomaly, and it results in a breathtaking misalignment that makes the coin instantly recognizable, once you know the signs. But here's the twist. Most Americans who touched these valuable pieces never realized what they had. They spent them, tossed them, lost them, and today collectors are racing, literally racing, to find the survivors. This is where things get exciting. The demand has skyrocketed. Auction houses in the U.S. are pushing these error coins to new heights with every bidding war. The last known specimen in pristine condition sold for $764,000. Setting off a wave of treasure hunters across the country. Every time another coin surfaces, interest spikes even higher. And if you think the market is slowing down, think again. The appetite for rare error coins is stronger than ever because they combine rarity with a compelling story, and wealthy collectors absolutely crave that combination. Now, here's a quick pattern interrupt, because I need you fully tuned in for what comes next. Imagine telling your boss tomorrow, "I won't be coming in. I just sold a quarter for more money than your annual salary." Funny? Yes. Unrealistic? Not at all. Because somebody already did. So now comes the moment you've been waiting for. What exactly should you look for in your Oregon 2005 quarter? What makes one worth its face value and another worth nearly $1 million? This is where the story tightens. The rarest version displays a dramatic minting mistake, so bold that once you spot it, your heart will skip. I'll reveal the exact visual markers in just a second, but first, I need you to understand something essential. These coins are disappearing fast. Collectors are locking them away in private collections, which means fewer and fewer will ever return to the public market. That scarcity is fueling a surge in value. A year ago, the top error specimens sold for hundreds of thousands. This year, they're pushing closer to the $1 million mark. And with each sale, the urgency increases. If you've ever told yourself, "One day I want to sell something valuable, one day I want to experience real financial transformation," that day might be today. Here comes your cliffhanger. The identifying error on the Oregon Quarter is unlike anything you're expecting. It's not a small scratch. It's not a subtle line. It's bold, dramatic, and instantly recognizable. Before I reveal the details, take a moment and imagine. What will your life look like if the next coin you check changes everything? Your financial stability, your lifestyle upgrades, your ability to finally take that step toward wealth could be sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten box right now. Now let's complete the journey. The 2005 Oregon $quarter error displays a striking misalignment that leaves part of the design shifted, doubled, or distorted. The outlines appear misplaced, the borders warped, and the features of the iconic Oregon landscape become irregular. This is the signature flaw collectors are fighting over, and this is the detail you must search for. As you check your coins, remember this: the market has never been hotter. Wealthy buyers are aggressively pursuing rare errors, and this Oregon Quarter is at the center of that storm. If you own one, you're not holding a simple coin, you're holding a high-value asset, an opportunity, a life-changing moment disguised as spare change. So before this video ends, make a promise to yourself. Don't ignore the drawers, the jars, the dusty boxes in your home. Search them, Because the next great treasure hunt in America isn't happening in gold mines or abandoned ships. It's happening in your hands. Act I begins not with noise, but with a single coin. A 2006 South Dakota $quarter. The one millions of Americans touched, spent, and forgot. Yet one specific quarter, an elusive mint error, has now stunned collectors by commanding a jaw-dropping market value approaching $895,000. Yes, a simple, ordinary-looking quarter turning into nearly $1 million payday. And if that made your heart skip a beat, good. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this coin has exploded in demand, and you'll know exactly what signs to look for in your own collection. What you hold in your hand right now could be the key to rewriting your financial future. It's easy to assume coins like this are mythical, that they belong to museums or billionaires' vaults. But the truth is far more electrifying, and maybe just a little unsettling. These coins are out there, hidden in drawers, old coffee cans, inherited boxes, and jars forgotten behind closet doors. And while most people overlook them, a growing group of everyday Americans are turning these discoveries into life-changing wealth. The fear of missing out is real because the opportunity is real. Someone somewhere is about to find the next one. And the question is simple: why not you? Act 2 opens with something stranger than fiction. In 2006, the U.S. Mint released the South Dakota State Quarter featuring the iconic Mount Rushmore and a powerful ring-necked pheasant in flight. A beautiful design, yes, but nothing unusual, at least that's what people thought. Then came the whispers. Collectors began noticing rare minting anomalies. Strikes with doubled images, misaligned dies, and dramatic off-centers that should never have escaped the mint. At first glance, you might laugh and think, how does a mistake like that slip through? But mistakes are valuable. Very valuable. Because in the world of coin collecting, rarity is king, and error coins are the crown jewels. And here's where things get exciting. This particular South Dakota quarter error isn't just rare. It's nearly mythical. Only a handful are confirmed to exist, and the market demand has skyrocketed into a frenzy. Auctions have seen bidding wars erupt like something out of a Wall Street thriller. When a coin hit the current valuation of $895,000, it didn't just shock collectors. It shook the entire numismatic world. Imagine selling something worth 25 cents for more than many homes in America. It sounds surreal until you realize people are doing it right now, today. Let me pause with a pattern interrupt for a second. Have you ever checked under your car seats? Because at this point, even your lost spare change is starting to feel suspiciously valuable. And hey, if you're suddenly considering flipping every cushion in your living room, don't worry. You're not alone. This is how million-dollar discoveries begin. But before we advance, here's the cliffhanger. What exactly makes this specific error quarter so uncontrollably desirable that collectors are practically battling for it? Is it the magnitude of the error? The scarcity? A hidden historical twist? Or is it something deeper? Something transforming ordinary Americans into wealthy sellers overnight? Hold that thought. We're entering the core of the story. Act 3 steps into the truth. The reason this quarter holds such extraordinary value is the combination of extreme rarity, sharp visual impact, and a near-perfect preservation state. Error coins usually suffer damage simply because their flaws make them unstable. But the few South Dakota error quarters of this type survived intact, preserved as if fate itself intentionally protected them for a future moment. Perhaps this moment. Add this rarity to today's booming coin collector market, where wealthy investors are competing fiercely for unique pieces, and you have a recipe for explosive valuations. The coin isn't just prized, it's hunted. Now the urgency becomes undeniable. The market is heating up faster than ever, and collectors are aggressively searching for these high-value state quarter errors. The demand is high, the supply is microscopic, and the prices are rising. If you've been sitting on old collections, inherited coins, or jars filled with forgotten change, now is not the time to hesitate. The window is open, but windows close. Their most valuable feature is that they don't stay open for long. Here's the exciting part. People exactly like you, regular collectors, retirees, workers, parents, even beginners, are discovering rare coins and turning them into life-altering financial wins. Some are paying off mortgages, funding travel, starting new businesses, and stepping confidently into a wealthy lifestyle they once believed was out of reach. When you hold a rare coin, you aren't holding metal, you're holding possibility. And as we wrap this journey, the final cliffhanger is directed at you. Could your next quarter, the one sitting quietly in a drawer or change jar, be the next one to hit the market at nearly $1 million? You won't know unless you look. So start today, because fortune doesn't always knock. Sometimes, it jingles softly in your pocket, waiting for you to pay attention. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing a tiny piece of metal tucked away in a dusty drawer could be worth more than your car, more than your home, maybe even more than your entire retirement portfolio. Sounds unbelievable, right? And yet, that's exactly what happened with one ordinary-looking coin from 2015. A coin people spent on coffee. A coin sitting in pockets, jars, and junk drawers across America. Today, that same coin, an error version of the 2015 Homestead Quarter from Nebraska, is selling for an astonishing $783,000. Yes, you heard that right. $783,000. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why this happened, how to identify this life-changing error, and why your loose change might hold the next one. So don't go anywhere, because this story only gets crazier. Now let's begin. It all started with something simple. A small log cabin, a few water pumps, and a design meant to honor early American homesteaders. When the U.S. Mint released the 2015 Nebraska Homestead Quarter, nobody expected it to become one of the most sought-after modern coins in circulation. After all, millions were minted. It was supposed to be ordinary, routine, forgettable. But something unexpected slipped through the cracks, and collectors didn't notice it at first. The Mint didn't announce it. No alerts, no fanfare, just a quiet error that changed a simple quarter into a gold mine. And here's the crazy part. Many people who had the error coin had no idea. They spent it, saved it, lost it, tossed it in a jar. Some may have vacuumed it up. Imagine that, vacuuming a $783,000 treasure. That's the kind of thing that keeps collectors awake at night. This is where our mystery begins. At first, only a few eagle-eyed hobbyists noticed something strange. The windows on the cabin, tiny, almost invisible, appeared doubled, tripled, or weirdly distorted. Some called it the extra window error, others the snow on the roof error, and some simply stared at it in disbelief. Something was off, and that something was the beginning of a silent explosion in value. But this is just the surface of the story, because what came next shocked the entire coin market. As collectors dug deeper, new errors kept appearing. Some coins showed extra water streams bursting from the pump, like the Mint accidentally created Niagara Falls on a quarter. Others had double designs so dramatic they looked like the cabin was vibrating. These weren't minor flaws, they were jaw-dropping anomalies. And then came the moment that sent shockwaves across the collecting world. A rare, pristine, dramatically doubled Homestead Quarter sold for over $783,000. That sale didn't just raise eyebrows. It ignited a nationwide treasure hunt. A modern coin, less than 10 years old, fetching nearly $1 million? That's the kind of story you tell your friends, and they don't believe you until you show them receipts. Now here's where this gets even more interesting. Every time a high-value error coin surfaces, the market tightens. Demand rises. Older collectors, investors, and high-net-worth buyers all rush in, determined not to miss the next big score. And while that happens, people like you, people with jars full of old coins, suddenly have the upper hand. But here's the real cliffhanger. The Homestead error coins are still out there. In drawers, in estate sales, in pocket change, in the bottom of that cup holder you keep promising to clean. And before we continue, let me interrupt with a quick reality check. If you're suddenly eyeing that jar of quarters across the room, yes, go ahead and look at it later, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what to look for. Now, let's talk about the part you came for, the part that could put serious money in your pocket. The 2015 Homestead Quarter's value isn't just about an error. It's about scarcity, market demand, and timing. Right now, collectors are aggressively buying these coins because they know how quickly values can skyrocket when an error becomes famous. And here's where the urgency kicks in. This market does not stay wide open forever. When the supply dries up, and it will, the prices on verified error coins may climb even higher. People who find these coins today aren't just lucky. They're positioned perfectly at the center of a rare moment in collector history. A moment where modern coins you can still find in change, are commanding luxury car, house down payment levels of cash. But let's keep it real for a second. What if you're thinking, well, my luck's terrible. I probably don't have 1 inch? Let me break that pattern right now. That's exactly what the person who sold the $783,000 quarter thought before they looked twice. These coins are subtle, easy to overlook. That's why so many remain undiscovered. And here comes your final cliffhanger, because this is the part most people never hear. The market is heating up again. Collectors are predicting another surge in value as more buyers enter the scene, and major auction houses are forecasting that the next ultra-rare homestead error could break the previous record. And if you're watching this, that means one thing: you're already ahead of the people who haven't learned this yet. Now you stand at a crossroads. One path is the same old routine: those jars of coins stay where they are, forgotten, collecting dust. The other path: you take action. You look, you search, you flip each coin with intention. Because the difference between those two paths could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're not watching this video by accident. People in your position, people with old coins, inherited collections, boxes from grandparents, forgotten jars. These are the people who strike gold when they least expect it. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, reaching into an old dresser drawer, and realizing you've been sitting on nearly $1 million without even knowing it. Sounds unreal, right? Yet that's exactly the kind of story unfolding right now in the world of rare coins, especially with the astonishing new market value of the 2016 Cumberland Gap $250 error coin, recently estimated at an unbelievable $962,000. If you think this couldn't possibly involve you, stay with me. By the end of this video, you may never look at spare change the same way again. Act 1 begins with a simple but life-changing question. What if one coin, just one, could shift your financial future forever? The 2016 Cumberland Gap quarter was already a fascinating release, but a small number of these coins left the mint with a rare error that collectors are now aggressively hunting for. And when I say aggressively, I mean people are paying prices that could buy a house, a luxury car, or fund a retirement. The most recent high-end valuation placed one of these error quarters at $962,000, shaking up the coin-collecting world and lighting a fire under anyone who knows what hidden assets truly mean. But before we dive deeper, let me ask you something, and this is your first pattern interrupt. When was the last time you checked your couch cushions with the seriousness of a Wall Street investor? Exactly. That's about to change. As the story moves into Act 2, we enter the heart of why this coin is creating such urgency and excitement. The Cumberland Gap design itself is iconic, depicting the frontiersman gazing westward into history. But the real treasure lies in the minting error, often invisible to the untrained eye. Some show doubled features, others misalignments, and some possess rare die defects that immediately elevate their value into the upper stratosphere. These aren't beginner collector coins. These are elite-tier rarities in a market where demand is surging fast. And the truly thrilling part? The majority of people who own these coins have no idea they're holding something extraordinary. That's why stories keep surfacing of individuals finding these quarters in old coffee tins, forgotten jars, or pocket change from a gas station. It almost sounds like fiction, until you realize it's happening across America at this very moment. This is where the emotional momentum builds. Imagine selling one coin and knowing you've just secured a future of choices instead of compromises. Imagine clearing debts, upgrading your lifestyle, or finally stepping into the financial freedom you've always envisioned. But with excitement always comes fear, fear of missing out, fear of overlooking something valuable, fear that someone else will cash in while you sift through coins without knowing what's real. That's exactly why this next part is critical. Before I reveal what makes these error coins worth nearly $1 million, I want you to remember something. Wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from finally recognizing what's already in your hands. Now for a quick pattern interrupt. What if the most valuable thing in your house right now isn't your TV, your jewelry, or even your car, but a coin sitting inside a junk drawer next to a half-dried pen and a broken phone charger? Funny to think about, but entirely possible. And that possibility is what's driving collectors into a frenzy. The demand is soaring, and the supply will never increase. Once these rare error quarters are found and snapped up by private collectors, they disappear into vaults, safes, and estates forever. That means the window is open now, but not for long. As we transition into the final act, Act 3, here's where the stakes rise. You're about to discover what separates a regular 2016 quarter worth 25 cents from one worth $962,000. Comes down to rarity, condition, and verification. And here's the cliffhanger. Some of these error quarters look deceptively normal. Even seasoned coin hunters have overlooked them. That's why so many people are suddenly re-examining their collections with a new level of intensity. And if you don't have a collection yet, you may unknowingly have pieces scattered throughout your home, your car, even loose change from your last grocery run. The opportunity is alive. Right now, as the story reaches its peak, picture this. Someone just like you, an everyday American, discovers this rare error coin, sends it for grading, and receives a certification that changes everything. The emotional roller coaster, from hope to fear to disbelief to overwhelming joy, is the reality hundreds are chasing right now. And if you think these coins are hard to sell, think again. Buyers are lining up, auctions are heating up, and private sales are being negotiated behind closed doors. The market is hungry, the demand is fierce, and those who act fast are the ones securing life-changing payouts. You're not just watching this video for entertainment. You're watching because something inside you knows opportunity when you see it. This Cumberland Gap quarter isn't just another coin. It's a signal that the rare coin world is exploding with potential, and that fortunes are being built quietly, right under the radar. Don't ignore that instinct. Don't dismiss that pull toward possibility. Because as collectors continue driving the value upward, and as the rarest pieces are discovered and locked away, the ones who hesitate now will be the ones wishing later. So here's your final cliffhanger. Somewhere in America, another person will discover this coin, and the next headline might read, "Cumberland Gap quarter sells for over $1 million." The only question is whether that headline will be about someone else or about you. In a quiet dresser drawer somewhere in America, a tiny piece of metal may be silently holding back someone's millionaire destiny. And no, I'm not talking about some mythical treasure chest buried in the desert. I'm talking about a modern coin you may have seen 1,000 times. A coin that, right now, can be worth as much as $984,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a single 2017 Frederick Douglass quarter. As unbelievable as it sounds, this modern-day minting error has become one of the most aggressively hunted treasures in today's numismatic world. And tonight, as you watch this, you may feel a little flutter of curiosity, or maybe a sudden urge to check your old coin jars. Don't worry, that's completely normal. Everyone who learns about this coin feels it. Before we go deeper, here's the real question. What if you already have one? What if that little everyday quarter you tossed on the counter without thinking could rewrite your financial story forever? Stay with me, because over the next few minutes, you'll uncover exactly what makes this coin so rare, why collectors are scrambling to secure it, and how the right error can take a 25-cent coin and elevate it to high-end luxury auction status. And trust me, once you hear the details, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. But first, let's step into the world of Act 2, where the truth behind this incredible value begins to unfold. The 2017 Frederick Douglass quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, a program so massive and so intricately produced that mint errors were inevitable. But here's the twist. Only a microscopic number of those errors ever escape into circulation. Most are caught, destroyed, and forgotten. The ones that slip through become legends. And this particular quarter, featuring Frederick Douglass seated at his writing desk, has developed one of the most captivating error varieties in recent years. Some quarters show dramatic double dies, others reveal striking misaligned features, and a few, the truly extraordinary few, carry bold minting mistakes that collectors describe as once-in-a-generation finds. Now here's where things get interesting. The market value for these rare error varieties has surged with relentless demand. We're seeing numbers climb with a kind of confidence usually reserved for blue-chip collectibles. The highest verified sales have reached $984,000, and experts believe that with growing collector competition and shrinking availability, even that figure could soon be overshadowed. If you're wondering why such astronomical prices are possible for a modern quarter, remember this: rarity in the coin world isn't about age, it's about survival. And survival of mint errors this dramatic is almost non-existent. But let me interrupt this moment with a little humor. Isn't it ironic that some people gamble thousands on risky stocks, while someone else might pull $1 million coin out of an old cup holder in their car? Life has a sense of humor, sometimes painfully so. But stay focused, because what comes next is where your opportunity becomes real. Across the country, professional graders, private collectors, and high-end auction houses have their eyes laser-locked on this coin. The demand is so fierce that even rumor of a newly discovered error quarter causes bidding wars before the coin has even been evaluated. And with every discovery, the rarity pool tightens. Every time a coin gets certified and tucked into a private collection, the chance of finding another slips further away. This is where the urgency becomes real, not emotional, not dramatic, but factual. The supply is shrinking fast. Now let's slip into Act 3, where your moment of clarity arrives, and perhaps a cliffhanger that could change how you look at your financial future starting tonight. Imagine yourself holding this quarter in your hand. It's light, familiar, ordinary, until the truth reveals itself. You flip it under the light and suddenly notice a doubled image, an unusual strike, a bizarre alignment that wasn't supposed to exist. Your heartbeat quickens. Yes, even grown adults who've seen life's ups and downs get butterflies when they realize they may be staring at a life-changing discovery. That's the magic of numismatics. Ordinary people finding extraordinary value. But here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. For every error quarter discovered, another may be silently hiding in a forgotten coin roll, in a dusty cabinet, in a pocket no one has checked in 15 years. And somewhere out there, perhaps even in your own home, another Frederick Douglass error quarter could be waiting for its moment to enter the market. Think about that. A small piece of metal holding the power to unlock a wealthy lifestyle, a luxurious retirement, or the freedom to live life on your own terms. And if you're thinking, I should probably check my coins, let me interrupt myself with one question. What's stopping you? Fear of disappointment? Fear of hoping for something too big? Let me remind you, every great discovery in coin history happened because someone looked. Someone believed it was worth checking. Someone decided that maybe, just maybe, fortune was on their side. Collectors, sellers, investors, everyone in the numismatic world is on high alert right now. This coin is at the center of intense attention, powerful demand, and relentless competition. High net worth buyers are ready. Auction houses are ready. The market is sizzling with opportunity. The only question left is this: are you ready? Because here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. In just a moment, I'll reveal the exact signs to look for, the very details that separate an ordinary Frederick Douglass quarter from the rare error worth nearly $1 million. But before I do, imagine the moment you realize you've been holding wealth without knowing it. Imagine the feeling of discovering that your financial breakthrough was sitting quietly, waiting for you. Don't blink. Don't click away. What you're about to learn could bring you one step closer to the life you've been dreaming of, and perhaps the coin that makes it all possible. Imagine waking up one morning, opening an old drawer, and realizing one tiny coin you nearly forgot about could change your entire financial future. Now picture that coin being worth not a few dollars, not a few thousand, but as much as $784,000 in the current market. Yes, $784,000 for a single USA 2020 Salt River Bay quarter dollar with a specific error most people don't even know exists. And today, you're about to find out why this coin is causing such a storm in the rare coin world, why collectors are competing fiercely to acquire it, and how you could turn a simple pocket find into a life-altering profit. Hold on, because what you learn in the next few minutes might just change the way you look at every coin you've ever held. Before we dive into the heart of the story, let me ask you something unexpected. Ever notice how coins are the only objects that become more valuable the older and more flawed they get? If only the same rule applied to half the appliances in our homes. But jokes aside, the 2020 Salt River Bay quarter error coin has become a treasure hunt phenomenon, and collectors, investors, and high net worth buyers are chasing it like it's the modern gold rush. And that brings us into Act 1, the awakening. Because the truth is, Most Americans have no idea what they're holding in their old coffee cans, boxes, or inherited collections. Many are sitting on fortunes without realizing it, and the Salt River Bay Error Quarter is the perfect example of hidden wealth in plain sight. Act 2 begins with the mystery that makes this coin so breathtakingly valuable. In 2020, during the height of global uncertainty, a small batch of Salt River Bay quarters left the U.S. Mint with a rare and dramatic error. And not just any error, one that distorts the intricate details of the mangrove design in a way that experts call once in a generation. Now, you might be wondering, how rare can this error really be? Rare enough that collectors who specialize in high-grade, high-value modern errors have driven prices to shocking levels. Rare enough that the few authenticated examples on the market have skyrocketed to the $784,000 range. And rare enough that auction houses are practically begging sellers to bring more to the table because demand is heating up and the supply is, well, almost mythical. But here's where things get really interesting. As we move deeper into Act 2, the stakes rise. People across the country have started checking every 2020 quarter they own, because one discovery, just one, could create generational wealth. That kind of possibility brings a mixture of excitement and fear. Excitement because the potential is enormous. Fear because what if you've already owned one and spent it without knowing? What if your children used it in a vending machine years ago? Or worse, what if it's still sitting in a forgotten drawer as you're watching this? And speaking of drawers, go ahead, don't check yet, but get ready, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what signs to look for. For now, stay with me because you need the final piece of the puzzle to understand just how valuable this error coin has become. Now let's add a slight pattern interrupt, because honestly, isn't it strange how a single quarter can now compete with the price of a luxury home? If someone told you 10 years ago that a coin worth 25 cents could eventually be worth nearly $800,000, you'd probably ask them to stop watching late-night conspiracy videos. Yet here we are, and the market is hotter than ever. This is your transition into the emotional core of Act 2, opportunity. For collectors aged 30 to 65, especially those who want to sell rare coins or build a wealthy lifestyle, this is the moment you can step into a market filled with momentum, passion, and skyrocketing valuations. And that brings us to Act 3, the transformation. Picture yourself finding this rare error quarter, submitting it for grading, and getting the call that your coin is the exact variety investors are hunting. Imagine the auction day, your name echoing in a room filled with experts and buyers raising paddles for your coin. Imagine watching the numbers climb and climb and climb, finally settling at a life-changing $784,000. This is not wishful thinking. This is happening right now in the world of high-value numismatics. This is why you must take action today, not tomorrow, not someday, but now, while this coin is at peak demand. Wealth doesn't wait for hesitation, wealth rewards awareness. But hold on, because here comes a cliffhanger that keeps every collector on edge. Reports are surfacing that more of these rare error coins might be out there, but not for long. Each new discovery drives more attention, more competition, and more urgency into the market. Prices are rising, investors are circling, and the window of opportunity narrows every single day. So the real question is, will the next record-breaking coin come from your collection? Or will someone else find the fortune that could have been yours? Take a moment and let that sink in, because the future belongs to those who take bold, informed action. And if you've ever dreamed of selling old or rare coins for major profits, living a life of abundance, comfort, and freedom, this is your call to step forward. The 2020 Salt River Bay Error Quarter is more than a coin. It's a symbol of what's possible when knowledge meets opportunity. So, as we close this journey, don't let the story end here. Let this be the beginning of your own discovery, your own transformation, your own leap toward wealth. Go check your quarters. Explore your collections. Revisit what you thought was ordinary, because hidden inside the ordinary, extraordinary fortunes are waiting. And who knows, the next $784,000 coin might already be in your hands.